Hi, this is Kirk, the bariatric carnivore. Well, you can tell by this picture, I am not Mr. Olympia. But frankly, over the last few years, I have accomplished some of my major goals. I have built muscle, I have gotten stronger, and I have not hurt myself. So, mission accomplished as far as what I do. And you may think, oh, you must love to go to the gym and exercise all the time. No, frankly, I hate it. It is prescriptive medicine, but I will spend an hour in a week, each week, trying to get myself stronger and more muscle and not hurting myself. But that's about all I'm going to put to it. So when you do about an hour a week of what I'm about ready to describe, anybody can achieve these same results as long as you're eating the proper diet, which includes lots of meat. So let's talk about what most people do. Most people go to the gym because a guy by the name of Joe Weider many years ago said that the proper way to lift weights is 3 sets. Now, is there a lot of science that says 3 sets is the optimal size? No. Frankly, there isn't. But because people have been, that's what our gym teacher taught us back since the 1950s, everybody keeps doing it. So most people, and there's a lot of debate within bodybuilder circles and weightlifters and strength guys, how many is the proper number of sets, and frankly, who cares? I mean, unless you're competing to become a bodybuilder or a strongman or something like that, frankly, who cares? I mean, I'm not trying to become a professional athlete. I'm 61 years old. All I want is more muscle and more strength. And I have found that just doing a single set is more than plenty. But most people, you go follow them in the gym, and if you put a stopwatch to them, this is what you're going to see. They will set up like, they do their bench presses, and they will put their weights on and they start lifting and they do their first set. When you count the amount of time that they're under load when they're actually doing work, that's usually about 30 seconds. Then they take about a 2.5 minute break, reset it, putting on the new set of weights and resting up, and then they put themselves under load for about another 30 seconds, take another 2-minute break, and so on and so forth, and until they get 3 sets done. So what this means is, to do 90 seconds under load, they've now spent 7.5 minutes on that one exercise. If they do 8 different exercises at the gym, they've now spent at least an hour. And after an hour in that type of environment, they're now sweaty and they now need a shower. Add to that the time it took to get dressed to go to the gym, drive over there, and all this other stuff. We're now talking about an hour and a half, 2 hours or so. And no wonder people don't have time to do any exercise. If that's typical for most people, they don't have time to do it. They don't have time to put that type of work into stuff. So how do I do it? Well, I just use bands. Why do I use bands? Because they're cheap and I can keep them at home and I can take them anywhere. I've taken them to Europe, I've taken them any country I've gone to, my bands have gone with me. So I can work out wherever I am. And this is how I do it. I set a timer. I'll do 1 minute where I am pushing or pulling on it. And I want, I grab as many bands as it takes so that when I am done at the end of that minute, I am just barely eking out that last one. If I am pushing as close to failure as I can within 1 minute, I know I have done my set correctly. And I just do one of each exercise. And I take a 30-second rest break. Then I go to the next one. So I'll be pushing or pulling every minute for a minute with a 30-second rest break. What does that mean? Well, in the end of 15 minutes, I have now done 15 exercises. I have put myself under load for 10 minutes with 5 minutes of rest. That's enough to build a pretty significant amount of muscle and strength. That's what you need. That's exercise. Not activity, but exercise where you've put yourself under strain for just a short period of time. I mean, this is the way we're designed. we're animals. Animals, are not like plants. Plants can stay in one place and they can make their own food through the sun. No, we've got to move. If we are not moving and eating and gathering food, we become food. So, we've got to be able to escape being eaten, and we've got to find stuff to eat. Movement is important, and that means that your body is evolutionarily designed to, when it's under stress, and exercise is a positive form of stress to make yourself stronger. And when you put yourself under stress, when you were in the recovery phase, you don't build muscles while you're actually doing the work, in the gym. When you're putting yourself under load, you may get a pump from, the blood going into the muscle, but that's not building muscle. The building of the muscle tissue actually happens when you recover. So you can't exercise really under a great deal of strain every single day. You got to give yourself time to recover, and you got to give yourself enough protein in order to build muscle. But boy, when you put yourself under just a short amount of stress for just 15 minutes doing the way I've described it, you're going to build muscle. Your body is going to go, uh-oh, we're under attack. We've got to get stronger, and it keeps adding more muscle and more strength to keep up with this load, this positive stress that you're putting yourself under, because you're highly adaptive and you're going to make yourself stronger, because that's just part of the deal. So it doesn't take much time, and frankly, it doesn't take much money. I mean, you can get a pretty decent set of bands on Amazon for 20 to 30 bucks. That is enough to get you started. I mean, if you want to spend the extra money and get a really nice one like an X3 bar or something like that, knock yourself out. If you've got the money to get a great big weight set at home, do that. Whatever it takes, but just do one set as close to failure as you possibly can. And frankly, yes, you're not going to become a world-class bodybuilder. You may not ever hit, 10-15% body fat and get six-pack abs. But will you get stronger? Will you build muscle? Yes, you will. Almost guaranteed. I mean, unless you are just some sort of weird metabolic freak that can't build muscle, you're going to build muscles by putting yourself under strain over time. That is your birthright. Anybody can do it. You will get stronger and more muscle and lean tissue. And it doesn't take a huge amount of time. Anybody can do it. If you can't put 15 minutes together 2 to 3 times a week, something is completely messed up in your life. Now, but what about aerobics? Well, frankly, I think there is some aerobic benefit to doing training the way I just suggested. If you're doing it intensely for a minute with 30-second rest breaks, yes, you're going to get some cardiovascular improvement by that. But I have found that you can get more by doing sprint training. And this was done, there's a series of experiments during the 70s where they were trying to make runners faster and increase their VO2 max, which is how much oxygen they can take in and utilize through their lungs and their heart. And this guy came up with this great system where you would sprint for a little bit, walk or rest, go at a slow pace, sprint, and you could do that. And he found that you can improve it. Another guy started thinking about it, this guy by the name of Wingate, and he looked at it a little bit differently and said, I think I can do it even better and faster, taking less time. And what he created was Wingate sprints, where you would sprint really intensely for about 30 seconds, as hard as you possibly could, but then take a 4 to 6 minute rest break and then sprint again. And if you did that in 4 to 6 different sessions, you would improve, and he documented it, that you improved your VO2 max by over 20%. Just a few, basically a half an hour of work would increase your VO2 max by 20% or so. And we're only talking about a very short period of time. Well, some other scientists recently have looked at that and said, okay, the Wingate sprints are pretty cool, but can you do it even with less time? And yes, you can. And this is the way I've been doing it. I use a Schwinn Airdyne bike. You know, it was free, and you know, so it didn't cost me any extra money. You can do this outside. You can do it with any piece of equipment that you might happen to have. You know, whatever it takes. But if you sprint hard for 10 seconds and then take off for about 1:20 or so, and the reason why I do these particular sprints this way is because my bike has got a kind of a rudimentary timer on it. So what I do, you know, what that 10 seconds to sprint and 1:20 off means is that I've got a 1.5-minute cycle. So I can keep track of that pretty easily on the timer. And that means that, and I'll do that from 4 to 6 sessions. And doing that alone increases your VO2 max just as much as doing the Wingate sprints and doing the other type of exercise. I can get more improvement in my cardiovascular health than I would if I was doing marathon training. You don't have to do long sprints. You don't have to get all sweaty. And that's the cool thing about doing these short sessions is I can do it in virtually anything. 20 minutes ago, I was just doing my sprint training in this stuff. Just wearing a pair of shorts, and I jumped up on the bike. I did 10 seconds on, 1:20 off, and you can do that at work. I mean, you can do it during your lunch break. 10 minutes on any type of bike or, you know, type of equipment where you can move quickly for 10 seconds. 1:20, just strolling, 10 seconds, and you do that 4 to 6 times, you will have increased your VO2 max by nearly 20%. You will have improved your heart health pretty darn significantly. You will increase the amount of mitochondria in your body, which are the powerhouse of the cells, which will make every organ in your body that much more efficient, that much more powerful, utilizing energy much more efficiently. So add it up. We're talking about 2 to 3 resistance training sessions each week, taking 15 minutes. Sprint training that takes 10 minutes, and I do that twice a week. Now, do I like them? No, frankly, I don't. I mean, they're painful. I mean, I push myself as hard as I can, but it's only for 10, 15 minutes each time I do it, and I'm getting stronger, I'm getting more muscle, I'm building up my mitochondria, I'm, you know, able to withstand whatever life throws at me, and I am better off in the long haul. That's what you should be doing. That's prescriptive. And it's not that hard, and it's not going to take as much time or energy or money as you think it does. It's a lot easier than you think. What do you get at the end of the day when you do this? You get to get out of the healthcare system because you're no longer a victim. You're going to be able to make yourself so darn strong that you don't have to see the doctor for these long-term chronic conditions that are plaguing over 80% of Americans. Look, when you look at it, the vast majority of this country, nearly 90% of this country, is metabolically unhealthy. 60% of this country is obese, not just fat. I mean, we're talking about friggin' obese. We've got nearly 2/3 of the country that is either pre-type 2 diabetic or guaranteed type 2 diabetic right now. Hypertension's going through the roof. All these things can be fixed with just the right diet and exercise. And frankly, it doesn't take much to get the exercise part. That's what I'm trying to point out today. So it takes a lot less time than you think. This is Kirk, the Bariatric Carnivore. I try to put out a couple of messages each week. If you like this message, please hit the like and subscribe. Join this tribe of other like-minded people that are trying to make a difference to get out of the healthcare system, make themselves healthier, and end this epidemic of chronic disease that is just devastating this country. I will talk to you again soon.